But as I mentioned before, in Matthew 28, he calls his disciples together, and Matthew tells us that they came, but they came worshiping. They worshiped him, but some doubted. And so I want to be really clear. God can handle your questions. God can handle your... Is it me, Brittany? Do you want me to do something? Okay. He can handle our fear. He can handle our doubt. He can handle our skepticism. I mean, we're Westerners. We're Californians, right? We're intelligent. We have the internet. I mean, science. We have all this technology. You're telling me that Jesus came back from the dead. Is that the claim? That is the claim. And so I want you to be honest with yourself. I want to be honest as well with yourself and with God. As you came in this morning and right away you start hearing, he's risen, and this is amazing, and we have life, and all these phrases that speak of that moment where Jesus came back from the dead. It's okay to have questions. It's okay to have skepticism. It's okay to be a little bit not sure of really what Easter is about. Because after all, we know Easter is about Easter bunnies and chocolate and all those kind of things, right? Culturally. But what exactly is this moment of Easter? I want you to bring God all that you're carrying in your heart and in your mind in this moment and be honest with him. Just like the disciples were almost 2,000 years ago. They came to worship him and they doubted. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, there's some verses that I want to read, and I want to give you a chance to get there. It's not be on the screen, but if you have a Bible, you can get there. You can look on your phone. But while you're getting there, I have a question for you. And you don't answer it out loud, but you've probably been answered this question before. My grandson asks me this question frequently. If you could have any superpower, what would it be? And there's a discussion that happens after that. Well, let me tweak this discussion a little bit. You see here on the screen, in a battle between Batman and Superman, who would win? Most of you, if you're under 50, you have an opinion, right? If you're over 50, you don't care. But if you're under 40 or whatever, who would win? Superman or Batman? What about if it was a fight between Captain America and Iron Man? Who would win? See, you have opinions. Okay, good. Some of you are very confident. What about Thor and Hulk? All right, good. I'm tracking with you. What about Jesus and death? He's already won. The battle between Jesus and death. Paul is writing in 1 Corinthians 15. He's writing to a church in Corinth. He's writing to people who have put their faith in Jesus, and they have some questions. And so in chapter 15, the whole chapter is about this idea of resurrection. When is it going to happen? How is that possible? What does it mean if Jesus rose from the dead or if he didn't rise from the dead? Listen, we're going to jump in the middle of this conversation in verse 51. Listen, I'm telling you a mystery. Can we just pause there for a second? Life and death and resurrection, all these things, there's mystery to this, right? Can we just acknowledge that? We like things black and white. We like science experiments where they come out the same way every time. No? We like when we follow the recipe that it always comes out the same way. I don't know why it doesn't. I've tried, doesn't always. I'm telling you, we're talking about a mystery, life, death, and life after death, and the resurrection of people, the resurrection of Jesus. He says this, we will not all fall asleep. We will not all physically die. In the Bible, falling asleep is often associated with physical death. But we will all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised incorruptible, meaning this body. Can you agree that this body is corrupted? Wow, you guys responded really quickly. You could have given a little bit of thought before you said that. But our bodies, they're corrupted, right? They're broken. No? Right? There's something not right with these bodies. They've been corrupted. And Paul says the incorruptible is going to be raised and will be changed. This new corruptible, or this old corruptible body must be clothed with incorruptibility. A new body. This mortal body, and we know these bodies are mortal, do we not? We've all experienced death in our lives, right? Some in the last couple of weeks have been reminded again, the reality of physical death. The mortal body must be clothed with immortality. And when this corruptible body is clothed with incorruptibility and this mortal body is clothed with immortality, then the saying that is written, and he's quoting from what we know as the Old Testament, the Hebrew Scriptures, that saying that is written this way will take place. And here's the saying: death has been swallowed up in victory. Now, you can read through that whole chapter. There's a whole lot more there that Paul talks about life and death and resurrection. But here's the point that I want us to just at least begin to unpack. Death is real. Life is real. Right? We're here and we're alive. So the question is resurrection real? We know life is real. We're living, we're talking, we're here, we're interacting. We know that death is real. Sadly, we all have a front row experience with death. The question is resurrection real? And Paul's point in this chapter is having a discussion with this group of people, and maybe now today with us by the Spirit of God, that resurrection is a mystery. But here's something that we need to understand if we're going to understand resurrection. This body is finite. This body is not immortal. This body has been corrupted, the Bible says, because of sin. Immediately, and I just had another granddaughter born a week ago today. And it's just crazy amazing. Thank you. The life, 9 pounds, 13 ounces. Her mom baked some good. Just incredible, this life. But she's already beginning to die. She's already moving towards that. So we know life is real. We know death is real. And here's what we need to understand if we're going to understand resurrection. This is finite. This life is finite. But God says life can be eternal. Life is more than just what we know with our senses in this body. And you know that's true. You might push back. You might say, yeah, but we don't know what it looks like. I'm not sure how we experience that. But deep inside every one of us, there is, if we're honest, there's a realization that there's more to life than just this finite, mortal, corruptible body. There's more to me than this, what you see. And so Paul's laying down that foundation that yes, that for eternal life to happen, there has to be a resurrection of a new body. Good. Me too. John chapter 20. Go with me back almost 2,000 years. Jesus has been crucified. He's been buried. Joseph of Arimathea asked for his body. He was given to him. He took it. They wrapped it up. They prepared they did what they could. They put the body of Jesus, in a tomb. Sabbath was coming, so they stopped. They had their Sabbath. And then on Sunday morning, the women were coming back to the tomb to finish the preparation of the body for burial. We have this scene in all 4 of the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I'll give us a glimpse, a picture of this. In John chapter 20, we read this, verse 1. On the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb early, while it was still dark. She saw that the stone had been removed from the tomb, so she went running to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one Jesus loved. And she said to them, "They've taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we don't know where they've put him." At that, when he heard that, Peter and the other disciple went out, heading for the tomb. The two were running together, but the other disciple, John, outran Peter and got to the tomb first. Stooping down, he looked in and he saw the linen cloths lying there, but he did not go in. Then following him, Simon Peter also came, and he just ran right in. He goes right into the tomb. He sees the linen cloths lying there. And he sees the wrapping that had been on Jesus' head, and it was not lying with the other linen cloths. It was folded up in a separate place by itself. The other disciple, John, who had reached the tomb first, then also went in, and he saw, and he believed. For they, the disciples, they did not yet understand the scripture that he must rise from the dead. Was that a celebration of the race, maybe? Isn't it interesting? And my friend Nate sent me there's a little video of a reenactment of this moment of John and Peter running. It's interesting, the one writing this picture, painting this picture, John made it very clear he wants to make sure we know that he's faster than Peter and that he got there first. He also wants us to know that out of respect, he stayed outside the tomb and Peter just right into the tomb. And that's, by the Spirit of God, that's given to us in this narrative. There's probably more, but let me talk just for a few minutes about 4 possible responses to this scene. Here we are 2,000 years later, we're saying things like, He is risen, He's risen indeed. We watch these videos that proclaim it. We have kids up here singing about God is forever, and He's eternal, and He's faithful, and we have all these words, and we're confronted with this remarkable claim that Jesus, and you guys said it, if it was a fight between Jesus and death, who would win? Jesus would win. And here we are 2,000 years later saying, yeah, Jesus won. He rose from the dead. But go with me back about 2,000 years to this moment, and from what we just read and a few other verses, there's a couple of responses that I want to acknowledge, and maybe we need to own. The first one is confusion. I'm confused. Mary Magdalene is mentioned by name in all 4 Gospels. I find that interesting. She is at the center of this moment. She goes and she sees the tomb is open, and she comes back to the disciples, and what did she tell them? You remember? Somebody took his body. Somebody took his body. I don't understand. So our response to this idea of the resurrection might be, and let's just own this, there's no judgment here. This is humanity. This is who we are. We're confronted with something that is outside of reason. It's outside of explanation. Are you tracking with me? The resurrection, somebody coming back from the dead, is like out there. And so our response, our attitude towards the resurrection might be, I'm just kind of confused. That's not the first thing that comes into her mind. The first thing that comes into her mind, a faithful disciple of Jesus, Mary Magdalene, who had been transformed by His love. She loved Him. She trusted Him. And yet this moment is so big that her response is, it's not, oh, He must be risen from the dead, like He said. Are you tracking with me? It's okay. There's no judgment here when Jesus interacts with her. He doesn't find fault with that. And if that's where you're at this morning, this idea of resurrection and that God, Jesus and death had a battle and Jesus won, and you're just confused, how can that even be possible? That's not what comes to mind first. It's okay. It's okay. Just acknowledge where you're at and stay on the road with me. Stay tracking with me, okay? So confusion. I don't understand. There's another reaction, another couple more, 3 more that I want to talk about. Let me first read from Luke's account of the resurrection. We're told it was Mary Magdalene in verse 10, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and the others with them who told this to the apostles. But they did not believe the women. See, the women are all shaking their heads. This is a Father's Day message, right? Come on, guys. You always believe everything you're told by your wife, right? They did not believe the women because their words seemed to them like nonsense. So ladies, let me just pause for a second. Sometimes when you talk, it sounds like nonsense. Okay, I'm looking. I'll be looking for a new job tomorrow. I'll be in another city, another town. They did not believe the women because their words seemed to them like nonsense. What's the nonsense? The tomb is open, the thing has been rolled back, the body's missing. We think somebody took the body. What is going on? Oh, you guys, you women, you're so emotional. It's just like nonsensical. Literally, it doesn't make any sense. However, Peter, God bless Peter, he gets up, as we read earlier, and he runs to the tomb. Bending over, he sees the strips of linen lying by themselves, separated from the head covering, and he went away from that moment. He goes back to the other disciples, wondering to himself, what exactly has happened? So the second response we might be experiencing is nonsense. Now, again, no judgment, but I'm asking you to just be honest with yourself. If you came to church, I don't know why you came here this morning, Somebody invited you. This is your church home. Family member invited you. Maybe it's just Easter, and so that's what you do. You go to church. We can be here for a lot of different reasons, right? Come on, we can. And not all of them are good, or not all of them are authentic. You're welcome. Whatever your reason for being here, you're welcome. I want you to know that. Let's be honest. If I'm here this morning, I'm thinking, church is good. Jesus was a good guy, said some amazing things, did some amazing things. But coming back from the dead, come on, really? That's just that. Science has proven that that's not possible. If that was possible, it'd still be happening today. We'd figure out how to do, right? We have all this rationale, these thoughts, these ideas that we've picked up along the way, that the supernatural, the idea that God is bigger than what we can experience with our senses, that there is a spiritual realm beyond the physical. We kind of know that, right? We kind of do. Even if you don't believe in God, there's got to be something more. This body is not me. It's not the totality of me. There's so much more. There's more than just this, what we can sense. But the idea that Jesus rose from the dead after being dead, there's got to be some other explanation. Maybe he didn't totally die. Maybe they buried him alive and then he revived. Or maybe it's just a total hoax. It's nonsense that someone could rise from the dead. If that's where you're at, stay with me, please. It's okay. You're welcome. God can handle that. So confusion, nonsense, I just don't believe it. Oh, a couple of thoughts before I go to the third one. I found these questions interesting. Why didn't Christianity die when Jesus died? Why do we even know about Jesus today? Why are we celebrating? In fact, I looked it up. The estimate is that today, allowing for time change, 95 countries and 2.4 billion people are celebrating in some way this idea that Jesus of Nazareth rose from the dead. Now think about that. Listen to this quote from Glenn Scrivener. From a purely human perspective, Jesus was a penniless preacher shooting his mouth off around some backwater of a long-dead empire. He was surrounded by losers and no-hopers. He was crucified in ignominy in his 30s, yet he is the most famous man who ever walked the planet. How is that possible? So if you're saying this is nonsense and I can't explain it scientifically, so I don't believe it, I want you just to consider some of these things. That here we are 2,000 years ago, and we're still celebrating, we're still worshiping, and we're still doubting, right? Let's make room for that. We're worshiping and doubting this man who claims to have risen from the dead 2,000 years ago. There's something more to this particular man, his life, his death, and his resurrection than any other person who has walked on the planet. So if it's nonsense to you right now, I'm okay with that. I'd love to talk more. I hope you will continue to open your heart up to, am I wrong? Maybe God, show me. If you're real, and this is real, I want to know. I want to move from nonsense to this next one, which is wonder. Peter wondered. He was amazed. Some translations say he was amazed. He's wondering. He looks in there. He gets there. He runs in being Peter. He gets in there. He looks. He sees what's going on. And right away he's saying, okay, this is not a break-in. Somebody didn't steal the body. The linens are all folded up here, and the head one is laid over here folded. No, this is not what we think it is, what the women thought it was. You tracking with Peter? He's doing some investigative work. He's just looking at the scene, and he's coming out going, I think I wrote some, Did he do it? Did he really beat death? He said some things that were confusing, and he kept talking about these things. And even that moment where I told him, no, you can't, you're not going to be crucified. And he told me to get behind him, that Satan was trying to take me over and have control over me. And he's wandering back through all these moments. Jesus and death. They'd make a good Marvel Universe movie, right? Did he win? And then I think, because he's Peter, and maybe we can relate to this, he began to wonder what this means for me. Because the last interaction that Peter had with Jesus was when Jesus was sitting in the room and they were interrogating him. And Peter is out in the courtyard around a fire, and a young lady asks him, if he was a disciple of Jesus, and for the third time he said, I am not a disciple of Jesus. I don't even know who he is. And Luke tells us that Jesus turned and Peter turned and their eyes locked. And Peter went out and he wept bitterly. That's his last interaction with Jesus. Now, can you imagine the turmoil that's in his heart and mind after the crucifixion and all that plays out? Sat all day at the Sabbath on Saturday, and then Sunday morning the women come and they say, the body's not there, the body's gone. And he goes and he sees it, and it says that he comes away wondering, could it be that he really did conquer death? And what does that mean for me? Because my past is still there. I haven't had an opportunity to make that. I don't know if I can make that right. Are his arms still open for me? If he's back alive, maybe there's a little fear in there as well. What do I do now? Now take these questions. If you're in this place or you're moving to this place of wonder, I want you to understand a couple of things that God is working in me. It's a great place to be. Wondering and being amazed and thinking through, engaging the claim that has been put before you. Jesus died on the cross. He was crucified by the Romans. He was buried, put in the tomb by Joseph of Arimathea. And 3 days later, the tomb was empty. He arose. And then for 40 days, he's walking around talking to people, and people saw him. And then he ascended back to heaven at the right hand of the Father. There's the claim. A good place to be is to wonder about that. Did Jesus really beat death? When I look in the mirror, I see the signs of death. Okay, let it sink in. You'll know what I'm talking about. And fortunately, us guys, we don't get to cover things up with makeup, right? And that's fortunate. Please hear me clearly. But I'm confronted, and every day that goes by, I am closer to this body, this corruptible body being done, and my earthly life, my physical life in this body is over. Did he really beat death? Does that change does that affect what happens after this body dies? Oh, it has to. If he actually conquered death, if he rose from the dead, that has to mean something. Did he do it? What does it mean for me? What does it mean for me, and what does he ask of me? How do I experience that resurrection? This is a good place to be. You tracking with me? This is a good place to be. So what do I do now? What do I do now? If I'm in this place, you're in this place of wonder. Did it happen? Is it possible? And maybe it is, and if it did happen, what does that mean for me, and what does he want from me? How do I benefit from his resurrection from the dead? What do I do now? Tracking? Okay. There's one more. And this is we see in the Apostle John. John looks in. He doesn't rush in there. John, we know, is the one that typically got to sit next to Jesus. He's described as the disciple whom Jesus loved. He's one of the three that saw Jesus glorified on the Mount of Transfiguration. He has a close, intimate friendship with Jesus. And he shows up on the scene. So his journey is maybe a little different than Peter's, right? And he looks in there and he sees it. He doesn't go in. He's just taking it in. And it says that he walked away from that moment believing. Now hold on. He's already a disciple. So I don't think his intent there, I don't think the message is that he finally believed that Jesus was the Messiah. Because the next sentence says, they did not yet understand the scriptures that said Jesus would rise from the dead. So let's show ourselves some grace, okay? The guys that walked, the men and women that walked with Jesus and saw his miracles and heard his teaching and saw all the amazing things that the Messiah did, it was a challenge for them to embrace, to wrap their brain and their heart around the claim that Jesus conquered death. Because that's all we know. Are you with me? That's all we know is death. We try to prolong it. We try not to think about it. We, unfortunately, take our older people and we stick them off in little homes, and I'm not judging anybody, but just culturally, right? We want to remove ourselves as far as we can from death. And we want to be as young as long as we possibly can. We're living in denial, friends. The reality is death is a part of every one of our existence. And so when Jesus told them over and over and over he was going to rise, he was going to rebuild the temple in 3 days, all those phrases, even John, it's not until he looked in the tomb and he saw the folded clothes that it says he believed. And what he believed was that Jesus beat death. He conquered death. He did it. He won. And I think his next thought, I can't prove it, is like, well, where is he? I want to go see him, and he doesn't have to wait long. Are you tracking with that? We might be confused. We might think this is nonsense. We might be at a place where we're wondering, could this be true? And if it is, what does that mean? And what do I do with this? The goal, the heart of God, and he's patient and he's persistent, but the heart of God is to move us from confusion to nonsense to wonder to believe. Believe. This interaction happened in John chapter 20 between Thomas, one of his disciples, and many of you will remember this moment. Jesus shows up to the disciples in the upper room. In the upper room, Thomas is not there. A week later, he shows up. And in between, Thomas is like, yeah, right, you guys saw Jesus. I don't know about that. Jesus comes back and he says, Thomas, I want you to put your finger here. Look at my hands. Reach out your hand. Put it into my side. Don't be faithless. Here's the heart of God. Believe. Believe that I'm alive. It's me. I'm not a ghost. I conquered death. Thomas's response, and here's the expression of belief, my Lord and my God. Because the only one that can conquer death is God, the Creator. And Jesus says to Thomas, and he's saying to you and me, because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen this moment, who have not been able to touch my scars, and yet they believe. This is the heart of God for you and me. He gets it if you're confused or if it's nonsense or you're at the wonder stage. He gets it, and he's patient and he's persistent. But know that his heart for you is to bring you to a place where, like John, you can look at this moment and say, I believe. I wasn't there. I didn't get to touch the scars, but I believe. It's 2,000 years later, and we're still worshiping this moment that changes everything. And I'll be honest, I have some doubts. I have some questions still. But I believe that Jesus died on the cross willingly, that he gave his life. It wasn't taken from him. He died. It is finished. He gave up the spirit. He died. His body died. They took him down. They put him in a tomb. And 3 days later, we're told the Holy Spirit raised him from the dead. And he's alive today. Here's how Paul says it in Ephesians chapter 1. I love this, and I want you to receive this in the way he wrote this, a prayer. Put yourself in Paul's audience. Paul's saying to each of us this morning, I pray that the eyes of your heart would be enlightened, that light would shine on your heart, so that you may know what is the hope of his calling. What hope do we have? The only hope we have is that Jesus conquered death. Friends, you will not find any significant, any lasting hope anywhere else. Nowhere else. You can try. We're trying, right? We're looking all over. We're doing all kinds of things. We're trying to find hope. We're trying to find a foundation for life. Paul says there's no other place. The only place that you'll find hope is in this calling. What is this calling? Well, it's the wealth of his glorious inheritance in the saints. It is the immeasurable greatness of his power towards us who believe. That's our hope. And it's according to the mighty working of his strength. This power, he exercised this power in Christ by raising him from the dead and seating him at the right hand of the Father in the heavens, far above every ruler, every authority, every power, every dominion. No one can touch him. You can imagine a battle with Jesus and Thor, Jesus and Iron Man. Those are pretend, I know. Jesus and anything. Jesus and death. There's no power, there's no authority higher than him. He's conquered them all. He conquered them when he conquered death. And here he sits at the right hand of the Father. That's where he is today, over all these powers and dominions, every title. not only in this age, in the material, physical world, but also in the world, the life to come. Can you receive that prayer? Paul is praying that over us. He's praying it over these people in Ephesus 2,000 years ago, almost 2,000 years ago. He's praying it over you and I today, and the Spirit of God is here present to single you out, to speak to your heart and to your mind so that you would hear God saying, this is who I am, and this is what I've done. I have raised him from the dead. I have conquered death, your greatest enemy. Would you agree? That's our biggest challenge. Say, oh no, I got to get through high school. That's my biggest challenge. Okay, right now I got to pass my driver's test. Woo, that's a big one. I have all these, my marriage. I want my marriage. I want to see healing in my marriage. I want my children and grandchildren. So for us to have a good relationship and to follow Jesus. I want the economy fixed. I want gas prices to come down. Diesel $7 and something cents. I saw the other day. We got a lot of. I want peace between Israel and Iran. I want peace in families. There's some huge things that we face. But the biggest obstacle, the biggest challenge, the biggest enemy every single one of us has is death. There's nothing we can do about that. But Jesus can, and he has. And that's what Paul is praying, that you would understand this, that your eyes would be open to see how powerful God is, and that he does this for those that he loves. And what does he ask back to the person who is wondering? What is he asking? He's asking for you and I to believe him, to trust him. We use the word faith in church, right? In Christian circles. Put your faith in something. My wife and I are going to fly to Europe in a couple of months, and we're going to get on that plane. And I do it frequently, so it's not a problem, but it's a problem for my wife. Because, really, we're going to go 35,000 feet in the air, and what do the people look like behind that door? How come I can't see the people that are flying this thing, and it's locked? And there's all these, right? It's like, what does it take to get on the plane? It is. We do it all the time. What God is asking you and I to do, what Paul is challenging us, is to put our faith in Jesus Christ. And that this battle between Jesus and death, Jesus won. And he came back from the dead. He's at the right hand of the Father this very moment. The victor, the conqueror of death. Yeah. Clap for Jesus, absolutely. He's done it. So let me close, bring this to an end with just a couple of minutes of looking at these verses. In Matthew chapter 11, Jesus has a really busy day of ministry, and he's sending out his disciples, and they're doing ministry, and they're just living the busyness of life in that day, fulfilling God's mission. And at the end of what we know is chapter 11, Jesus turns to his disciples, he turns to the crowds that are there, and he says this. He says, I want you to come to me. Now, pause just for a second. Come to me. That implies some things, doesn't it? And maybe we can own it today. We're not all consistently coming to Jesus for help, are we? You don't have to answer out loud. I know it's true. I know it's true of me. We come to other things. We turn to other things. We go to other things. We run after other things. Right? I can raise my hand. And Jesus says, I want you to come to me. He singles himself out as the singular, he identifies himself as the singular destination for the confused, the nonsense, the wonder, and even the believing, because he's talking to his disciples. Wherever you're at, I want you to come to me. And I know that you're weary. I know that you're burdened. And it's not a physical, sometimes we're physically tired, but I think you all can acknowledge there's a deeper burden than physical burden. There's a spiritual weight. There's an emotional weight. Our world is so broken, and there's so much loss of life, and so much pain, and so much anger, and so much division. What is going on? At times, it's just overwhelming, the weight that we're carrying, living with hope for the future with all the stuff that we're carrying. And he says, I know that. I understand that you're weary, you're tired, you've been carrying these weights. So come to me, and I will give you peace. I will give you rest. It's shalom. I will make everything the way it should be. Everything will be complete. Come to me. I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Picture the two animals pulling the plow. Jesus on one side, Curt's on the other side. Curt, come put this. Latch on. Grab onto this yoke and learn from me. The word learn here means to walk with me. Go the way that I go. Trust me. Let's do this together. Because I, God, the Messiah, Jesus the King, says I'm lowly and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. My burden, my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Confused, it's nonsense. Man, I have a lot of questions. I'm wondering, could it be true? Or even I'm believing. Jesus says the invitation is for all of you to come. He's calling us to that mountain in Galilee to meet with him. And he's calling us to worship him. But he's calling us to come be worshipers even if we have doubt. So the challenge that God has spoken to me in leading up to this morning is, Curt, I want you to run. I don't want you to walk. I want you to run to the empty tomb. I want you to come to me. You've been turning to other things. You've been going your own way. You've been trying to figure out on your own. Enough of that. Come to me. Run to me. Don't walk. Don't wait. Don't let distractions, don't let the plans that are happening later today distract us from missing this moment right here. Do you hear his voice? I pray that you do. Whoever you are, wherever you're at, wherever we're at in our spiritual journey, he's saying, come. Come to me. I have rest for you. Don't wait. Don't walk. Get here. Run. Don't walk. And if we'll do that, we'll be able to say with the multitudes who have come before us, he is risen.